Coming up next on Her Business Playbook.
Really being crystal clear with the CEO on how you're going to measure ROI and make sure that the CEO is bought into the formula that is used to measure ROI will be really, really critical.
Hi, team. I'm Takesha Shepherd-Jones, founder and host of the Her Business Playbook podcast, and I'm so thrilled to be on site at White Castle with its CEO and board chair, Lisa Ingram, fourth-generation leader of this iconic brand. We could not thank you enough for sitting down with us. Thank you.
I'm so happy to be here, Takesha. Thank you for having me.
So I'm going to jump right in. What brand do you remember making a big impression on you as a girl, and why?
Yeah, this was a hard one for me. I remember as a girl being really, really into music. I was a dancer and I was a cheerleader. And so that's probably the thing that stuck with me the most was music, whether that was Duran Duran or Bon Jovi or the Violent Femmes. Those were really the things that stuck with me when I was a girl. There's a great Eric Church song called Springsteen where he talks about connecting a memory with a melody. And so those are the things that come to mind when I think about my youth. I've tried to block out really the big shoulder pads, the big hair, all of those things that, maybe my Jordache mini skirts probably would be the something that I would think of. But for the most part, what comes to mind when I think of being a child is music and how whatever song that there was, I could make a connection to how I was feeling or how I was trying to move through something.
Mm-hmm. When you think about your personal brand and everything that has shaped you, what are a few words that you think others would use to describe your personal brand or reputation?
Sure. So I hope that people would use words like approachable or down to earth. Some would probably use words like analytical. When I think about what I'm trying to achieve here at White Castle, I want to be thought of as someone who does not get so far removed from the organization that they don't really understand what's going on. I really believe in frontline leadership. A lot of places that you will find me is behind the grill, working with our team members, talking to our team members in the castles to really make sure that we are making decisions that either make their lives better or allow them to make our customers' lives more impactful with a memorable moment. And so hopefully that's how people would describe me.
Oh, no doubt. Now, when people find out that you're the CEO, let alone board chair, what's the first thing that they typically ask you, and what would you like for people to ask?
Well, usually they ask, do you eat sliders every day?
I'm sure.
And that's fine. I love answering that question. That yes, usually I do eat a slider every day. But I think what's probably the most important thing that they should know about White Castle is the tremendous longevity and commitment that we have from our team members. We have some team members that have worked for us for 20, 30, even 40 years. And that was really started by my great-grandfather, who believed that we cannot expect loyalty except to those to whom we are loyal. And so that's been a founding value of ours that we have continued through 4 generations and that we still continue today, and is still something that I feel very humbled about, that we have so many team members that get up each and every day and come to work to try to create great memorable moments for our customers. And so that's really what I think the most important job of a CEO is, to know how do you create value in the world, both for your team members and for your customers.
So what's the number one thing that inspired you to return to the company as its leader? Because you left for a period of time and now you're back. Of course, you've been here for a little while again, but what inspired you to come back to serve as literally the face of the brand?
Yeah. So I will admit, when I was 18 years old, I really didn't think I'd ever come back to Ohio. But I had an opportunity to work in a lot of different places. I waited tables in college. I had an opportunity to go work in DC for John Glenn. I had an opportunity when I graduated college to work for a small privately held company that went public. A little bit later, I had an opportunity to work for a very large publicly traded company. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about different cultures. I learned a lot about different leaders, about different products, whether it was business to business versus business to consumer. And when I came back to White Castle, I realized that what all those other companies didn't have as strongly as our brand has was that connection with the customer, the memorable moments that we get to create each and every day. Whenever people find out that I work at White Castle, not only do they ask me if I eat sliders, but they always want to tell me about their stories. And so whether that's a story of spending time with their parents or their grandparents eating at White Castle, or whether it's some rager that they did at 2 a.m., there's always a really fun story that makes their eyes light up, that makes their face smile, that makes their voice communicate the joy that they have with the connection with our brand. And I feel so fortunate to be able to lead this great company that is able to make those memories, to make those moments with our customers.
You know, when we were prepping for this interview, I told you one of my stories, the special sauce that I would make to put on a slider as a little girl. So you're absolutely right. I think most people have a really great White Castle story, especially as a child. Is there one experience that you had when you left the business for a period of time that you believe played a more significant role in preparing you to lead the company?
I think that each of those experiences that I had in learning about different cultures, in learning about different leaders, helped me when I came to White Castle. I remember a time when I worked at a computer supplies company, and I had to go in and tell my boss that I thought I made a really, really big mistake. I forgot to order a really, really important product. And I was scared to death that I was gonna get fired, and I was gonna have to call my father and tell him I got fired from my first job. Wasn't looking forward to that. But how they handled that situation has always stuck with me. They were calm, they were cool, they were very supportive in helping me figure out how to fix the problem. And they were very good at saying, okay, what did we learn from this? And how do we make sure that this doesn't happen in the future? And those types of lessons, I think, are really important for a young person earlier in their career to learn about and to see how people handle those. And that will be influential in how you handle it or I handle it in the future. And so I think each job that you're in, each company that you experience, each culture that you're experiencing, you will get to see things that you really like and that you want to bring back or want to keep with you, and things you're like, oh yeah, I don't really want to do that. That's not my personal brand. That's not my personal style.
In preparing for the demands of your typical workday, what's your morning routine like, and how do you usually round out your day? Inquiring minds want to know.
I am very focused on reducing stress. And so the best way for me to do that is to work out. So my morning routine usually consists of waking up and doing either a 60 or 90-minute workout if I can squeeze that in. In between that time, I have to get the dogs up. I have to make my two sons who are still at home get up and get to school. And then I head into the office. I make my smoothie before I go into the office, and then I get in here. But I'm really committed to that, and so I usually don't schedule any meeting before 9 a.m., maybe even 9:30, to make sure that I can get in my morning routine, because it's so important to my well-being, my clarity of mind. And so it's something that in the position that I am, I certainly have more control over my schedule than others, but it is something that I'm very committed to.
Yeah. A lot of great clarity of mind, like you said, de-stressor, being able to think about what's
I have
coming up.
great epiphanies when I'm running, and so I like to do that first thing in the morning.
Is there anything that you're looking forward to taking off your plate in the next phase of your leadership journey? Speaking of, being able to juggle it all, just the importance of de-stressing and mental and physical health. Is there anything that you're looking forward to taking off your plate?
Well, we just recently promoted a president of the company. And so I'm very comfortable and confident in his leadership. And so being able to shift some of those responsibilities to him is really exciting for the brand. This is the first time that we've had a non-family president of the organization. And so I have total confidence in his leadership and his ability to lead the organization in ways that complement my own. And so I'm excited to be able to shift some responsibilities to him. You know, I'm also excited for the fact that 2 of my 4 children are out of the house, and over the next 4 years, I will have even more time, hopefully, as my last 2 move off to college and spread their wings. So I look forward to that as well.
How often do you make it around to your castles around the country?
Yes. So this is a very steep tradition in our culture. So my great-grandfather, my grandfather, and my father would visit every single castle every year for decades. You could ask my father about any single castle in the whole country, and he could tell you where it was, what it looked like, et cetera, et cetera. What I remember from that is that my dad was gone a lot while I was growing up. And so while I recognize that that is a very important thing, I make sure to get to every single region every year, but I don't get to every single castle because he would only be able to spend like 10 or 15 minutes in each castle. And I like to spend a little bit more time, the general manager, the team members asking questions, that type of thing. I get to a lot of castles every year, but I don't get to every single castle every year.
Yeah, and there's over 300 of them.
There's 330 of
yeah.
them, and we have 6 plants, and they're in 15 states. So there's a lot of ground to cover. I honestly don't know how he did it every year, but he did. So
Yeah, now that was a huge feat and a big legacy.
yes,
right?
it is. And it's an interesting thing because as the first woman, you know, I really wanted to make sure that I was living up to the expectations. But as a mom and a wife, I also wanted to make sure that I was balancing that as well. And so it was really more a struggle for me personally to recognize that it's okay that I'm not visiting every single castle every year. I'm still doing a great job as the CEO. I'm still touching the team members that I need to interact with. I'm still making memorable moments for our team. But I'm also around more for my children and my husband. And so it was really I had to give myself a little pep talk that it was the right decision for me and still know that I was being effective at my job.
Doubt. So White Castle, big brand, big legacy. It is credited as being the first fast food hamburger restaurant and chain. That is a tremendous legacy. So how do you describe the White Castle brand today?
Yeah. So I hope that people talk about White Castle in terms of, first, amazing 100% steam grilled sliders on a bed of onion. Secondly, really wonderful, engaging team members. And third, a brand that makes them smile. Our vision statement is to feed the souls of craver generations everywhere. And we do that every day, hopefully, by creating memorable moments. Those are the stories that customers have about the brand. And so when they're describing the brand, my hope is that it fills them with joy, it fills them with happiness, and hopefully a sense of hunger that is satisfied by sliders.
Oh, no doubt.
Yes.
So you mentioned your great-grandfather, Billy.
Yes.
What do you admire the most about him, especially his personal brand and reputation?
So I think Billy had tremendous courage. So he decided at the ripe old age of 41 in 1921 to quit his job as an insurance salesman and begin his wild experiment in the restaurant business. He borrowed $700 from the bank and opened the first White Castle. And it was just a little, maybe as big as this room, maybe. And it had, you know, a stainless steel grill and 5 stools. At the time, hamburger was not something that a lot of people consumed, but he thought it was really, really good and a product that everybody should be able to afford. And he rolled it into a ball and then smashed it into onions on the grill. and wanted to serve it for 5 cents so that everybody could be able to afford it. And he picked the name White Castle, White standing for cleanliness and Castle standing for permanence and strength, because he knew, I don't know if he knew we'd be around for 104 years, but he knew that it was something that he wanted to be around for a while. So I think that he had tremendous courage to do that in the 1920s, and we continued to expand through the 20s and 30s as the Great Depression was going on in the 40s. We've been in some of our locations. Those were original locations in the 20s and 30s. So to have the courage to continue to expand, even when the craziness was going on, I think is really a testament to his character.
Oh, no doubt. And, you've built quite the reputation as bringing and shepherding a lot of great innovation while maintaining an appreciation for culture and great service and all of those things. When you think about new innovations and growing the brand, what's your team's process like? Can you give us a bit of behind the scenes view of how you guys think and work together?
Sure. So whenever we are thinking about innovation, it needs to accomplish one of two things. One, it either improves the experience of our team members, or it improves the experience of our customers. So those are sort of the two filters that we start with. And we go out and see an innovation at a competitor or at a show or in the retail space and think, okay, let's see if it'll work in our environment. And so we'll go out, we'll talk to the vendor and see if it's something that they want to try that we can put in our space. We'll put it in and we'll just test it and see, how does it work? How do the team members interact with it? How does it interact with our systems? Does it make the team member experience better? Does it enhance the customer experience? And we'll go through a couple of iterations. Because we're privately held, we can do a lot of these things that other competitors can't do because they're publicly traded. And we're always willing to test stuff that makes sense for our brand and that will help us either improve the customer experience or improve the team member experience.
What's a recent brand or product win that you are very proud of? Something where you felt, now this is exactly who we are as a brand.
Yeah. So one of the great inventions that we had is actually right there. So our Crave case is a really interesting packaging invention. I have often said that our best ideas either come from our customers or our team members. And this idea came from one of our team members. So, we had always been selling them by the sack. That had been a tagline of us. Our sliders are little, we sell them in 10 sacks, but we would have customers that would come in and order 2 or 3 10 sacks, and that's kind of hard to carry. And so we were talking, how can we create a package that would make it easier for our customers to carry multiple sacks of 10? And so one of our team members came up with, well, why don't we put it in a pizza box? And we got a pizza box, we tried it, and we figured out that 30 fit really, really well into a pizza box. So we're like, okay, this is great, so we'll use a pizza box. So we made a bunch of them, and we sent them out to a couple of castles to test. And they worked really well. They looked beautiful, they were lined up. It was a beautiful sight. And when our team members took the pizza box and put it through the drive-through window, they realized that it would not fit through the drive-through window, because at the time we had these little drive-through windows that open like that. So you'd actually have to turn the pizza box on the side and stick it through the drive-through window, which doesn't work very well. But when you do that, you're actually like, okay, so maybe we need like a briefcase packaging. And so that was the idea that sparked us creating the Crave case, which is our package. And from there, we have created the Crave Clutch. Our Crave case holds 30 sliders. Our Crave Clutch holds 20 sliders. And if you're in a really, really hungry mood or going to a tailgate or a party, you can get the Crave Crate, which holds 100 sliders. And so that packaging, while we thought it would be a great benefit to our customers, it was really a wonderful marketing tool as well, because it's very easy for customers to walk around with these packages. It keeps our product nice and warm, nice and nestled together, and it does wonders for our brand and is really catchy and appealing to look at. So.
All right, Lisa, so we have what we call our free throw lightning round questions.
Okay,
I'm
let's
gonna
go.
just jump right in.
All right.
What's your favorite slider topping?
I usually take my slider bottoms up with extra pickles and a slice of tomato.
Ooh, gotta have extra pickles. What's your favorite sports or company brand mascot?
That would be either the Buckeyes or the Peruna Mustangs.
Oh, I'm a big fan of Brutus. What's your favorite vacation spot to de-stress?
Kiowa Island, South Carolina.
Ooh, beautiful.
Yes.
What's your favorite hype or party song? What do you get down to?
So Pink, I love Pink. And so Raise Your Glass is always a fun one.
Ooh. What's your favorite type of shoe? Heels, a pair of sneakers, or flats?
Oh, I am definitely a sneaker girl.
Me too.
Yeah.
What's your biggest pet peeve? What do people do to get on your nerves?
Whining?
Ooh.
Whining, like especially from my children or my pets.
Your pets.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
In growing her personal brand, what's one thing every woman should consider doing in the upcoming months?
I think the most important thing in growing your personal brand is to be authentic to yourself. So really understanding who you are, what you're trying to achieve, and then just really embrace it. Slider Queen for me is very much a part of who I am. A little bit quirky, a little bit fun, really into making sliders.
Well said.
Yeah.
What's another business brand that you admire and why?
So there are a couple of companies that I admire. Certainly in our industry, Chick-fil-A is one that would jump out. They are a family-owned business as well. Really, really great people. And they're very committed to their product, and they're very committed to friendliness, which is something that we are also committed to. So I admire them a lot. Outside of our industry, I would say the Ritz-Carlton. I know, so I don't stay at a lot of Ritz's, but I have stayed at one. And when I showed up at one in particular, they had these little cakes made of White Castle that had the White Castle logo on it. So I admire brands that can take the element of surprise and make a moment out of that, because that is something that I feel like we strive to do each and every day, to create these memorable moments. So I admire other companies that can do that. And I think that this particular Ritz-Carlton did a great job of doing that, because I had made the reservation on my Marriott app. It has my personal email. It doesn't have my White Castle email. And so they had to do a little bit of research to even figure out who I was. And they did that and went above and beyond and surprised me when I walked in with a little treat that had White Castle logo on it. So those types of opportunities for companies to create memorable connections with their customers, I think, is really powerful.
Absolutely, and personal.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that they did that extra research to find out who you were.
Yeah, and there's a little note and everything.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was really sweet. So I give them
doubt.
kudos for that.
No doubt. What's one aspect of your brand growth strategy that has proven most effective over time? You've alluded to some of those parts of your culture, your great-grandfather's legacy and what he paid close attention to, but what do you feel as it relates to your strategy that's proven most effective over time to creating a sustainable brand that continues to innovate and grow?
So one strategy that we have been very, very thoughtful about, and this started back with my great-grandfather, was being company-owned and operated. And so in our industry, most brands are franchised. And there are certainly benefits to doing that strategy. For us, I've always said that Billy was a control freak, and that gene was actually passed down from generation to generation, because I would certainly describe myself as that as well. But he really wanted to make sure that our customers had the same experience in Wichita, Kansas, where we were formed, as they did in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Chicago, New York, New Jersey. And to really help ensure that that was the case, we really felt like having that ownership and having the connection with the direct connection with our team members, and ultimately the opportunity to have a direct connection with our customers, was really critically important to our brand and our success. And so over the years, we have never entertained the option of franchising. We're all company owned and operated. That's why we only have 330 stores, which is still a lot of stores, but we're small compared to the other competitors in our industry. And so I believe that that's been a strategy that has been really beneficial to us, but it's unique in our industry.
No doubt. And even just how you operate, other aspects of the business, making your own buns and other parts of the food experience that people or companies would oftentimes contract out, right?
Yes. So my grandfather was the one that got us into manufacturing, and we now have 6 manufacturing plants and have for decades. 2 bakeries, so we make all of our own buns that go into the product in the restaurants and in our retail. We have 2 meat processing facilities where we make all the patties, and we have 2 retail plants where we make all of the retail product. And my dad was really the one that got us into the retail business. And so the great story about that is like in the 80s, think back in the 80s, early 80s, he would go around and visit every single castle, as I said, every year. And he would talk to customers, and he noticed that customers were ordering sacks of 10, but they wanted 4 of them to be here so they could eat them here, and then they wanted the other 16 or so wrapped, which wasn't our standard operating procedure. And the team members would actually individually wrap those burgers. And when he talked to the customers and asked them what they were doing with those burgers, they told him that they put it in the freezer, and then they got this new thing called a microwave oven, and they would put it in the microwave oven and heat it up. And from there, he realized that our customers who were coming into the restaurants also wanted to have the option to have the product at home. And so he worked on figuring out how we could make that product in a more efficient and food-safe environment, and convince some retailers to take it on, and we've been in that business since 1984, 85, so a long, long time. And even though we only have 330 locations, we are in all 50 states with our retail product in most major retailers across the U.S.
That's impressive.
It is very impressive.
And, I remember growing up and seeing the product at the grocery store for the first time and getting excited because we could, buy them and make them at home whenever we wanted to.
And we were very concerned that we were going to cannibalize on ourselves, but it really has not been that way. It's been much more additive than cannibalizing on our restaurant business. It's a great expansion for the brand.
So when you and your team are evaluating a new brand marketing idea, what's 2 to 3 strategic questions that must be answered before you greenlight it?
So we really look at a product and say, okay, is this unique? Our product, our slider, is a 2x2 inch slider that has not changed in decades. And so is this new item that we're evaluating, is it unique? Does it fit well in the slider? So starting out, it probably has to be small. Like you probably won't see us coming out with a full-size burger. It probably needs to be slider size. So how do we make it fit into our brand? Does it make sense? Does it complement the slider? How do our team members interact with it? Does it fit into our operation? And then what do we think the sales opportunity is? Where is it from a customer standpoint? Is it something that they are excited about? And how do we gather that data? So we do a lot of iteration. We gather ideas, we vet those ideas. We'll do what we call consumer guidance panels, where we'll put concepts in front of customers online and see, do they like this idea? Then we will put it together, connect with suppliers to help us make the product. Then we'll test the product in our stores. And usually we do an operations test in a couple of castles to see how our team members interact with us, because that's the most important thing. And then if that goes well, then we may do a market test with marketing behind it. And if that goes well, then we'll do a whole system-wide rollout. So there's definitely a very iterative process that we go through to make sure a product, one, fits with the brand, is unique enough that somebody else can't put their logo on it, and you would see that at somebody else's stores. And then will it work in our operation, and do our team members feel comfortable selling it?
For those trying to grow either smaller brands or lesser high-profile brands, what's one marketing play that you'd run if you were in their shoes?
I think it's really important when launching any new idea is to make sure you really understand how customers use your product and why they use your product, and what benefit do they get off of it, and how can you expand that? How can you reduce the friction for your customers to interact with your product? Those would be the things that I would focus on. And can you get any customer testimonials, customer interactions that can help amplify your brand? We are a small brand in a very, very large arena. And so we rely a lot on word of mouth. We rely a lot on sort of guerrilla marketing. And so doing a lot, making our brand go beyond the dollars that we have is really, really important. And so to do that, you need to be unique, you need to be thoughtful, but you also need to be able to connect in a way that people get excited and that they want to tell your story. And so how can you do that? And so if I was launching a new brand, that's what I would be looking for, is what is the connection that I have with the consumer? What problem am I solving? What friction am I removing? And can I get my ultimate customers to talk about that in a way that accelerates my brand recognition and my brand appeal?
Great advice, great advice. So you have over 10,000 team members.
Yeah, we have about 10,000 team members.
Across 300 plus regions or castles, if
yep.
you will.
Yep.
So recognizing that each employee serves as a brand ambassador,
Yes.
what key roles impact brand and marketing strategy the most on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It is really those team members in the castles, in addition, obviously, to our great marketing team here. But they are really the ones that make the connection. They are the ones that are serving the product, hopefully hot, tasty, steamy sliders, just like our customers are imagining. They are the ones that are giving, hopefully, good speed of service and friendly speed of service. They have such an opportunity to make that memorable moment with our customers, to make our customers smile. We get comments every once in a while from a customer that had such an amazing interaction with our team member that it changed the course of their day. They could have been having a really bad day. Something awful could have happened to them, and they come through our drive-through, and our team member just asks them how they're doing, makes them smile, makes them think about something positive rather than maybe what they were thinking about before. We get a lot of those compliments. And so our team members in our castle are really our best brand marketing ambassadors. Certainly the team members here that are on the marketing team and do a great job of putting together campaigns and interacting on social media, but the ones that really make the impression are the ones in the castles.
Oh, the frontline folks.
Yes, which is why, I always say I believe in frontline leadership, and why you will often find me on the grill interacting with team members and customers, because I want them to know that their job really, really is important, and what they are doing makes a tremendous difference to our organization, our culture, and ultimately our brand.
No doubt. Big kudos and shout out to your brand marketing team. I am super impressed all the way around, 360 degrees. Especially your social media feed. It is never a dull moment. It is, I want our listeners and viewers to check it out, but I love how super creative your team is while also paying close attention to what makes the brand special.
Yeah, they do a great job. I mean, they come up with really, really fun, amazing ideas on how we can create connections with our customers, whether that's the Valentine's Day, whether that's the recipe contest. We just had Thanksgiving, so our stuffing recipe is really very popular. Whether it's our Cravers Hall of Fame, where we induct 10 cravers every year because they tell us amazing stories about how much they love the brand. Our marketing team does a tremendous job. Not only the big things, but the little things, just interacting with customers who leave comments on our social. We have a great team. But as I said, the ones that are going to have the greatest impact are definitely the team members in the stores.
Absolutely. So what lessons have you learned about supporting these leaders, whether it's your frontline brand ambassadors, those working in other aspects of operations, or even your brand and marketing team? Just what lessons have you learned about how to best support them?
I think as a leader, the best thing that we can do is make sure that our teams know that they are valuable, that they are loved, and that we listen to them. And so trying to create those connections with our team members and make sure that they feel valued, not just the paycheck that we give them, but their ideas, their enthusiasm, their ability to make a difference in our brand, I think is really important. And I think that works with frontline team members as well as senior executive team members. So I certainly try to do that. I know I can continue to get better and better at that every day, but that is something that I try to do each and every day, is to make sure I say thank you, make sure that I'm acknowledging how important they are, and really paying homage to their greatness and how they continue to make our brand wonderful.
And one of the things that I love about your brand is your intentionality around culture, around inclusion and diversity. It is a big part of your brand. I know that it is super important to you personally.
Yes.
What does this look like on a day-to-day basis? How do you bring it to life here at your corporate office, castles out in the field? What does that look like from day to day?
So we have been in some of our locations since the 1920s or 1930s. And so many of our locations are in very diverse neighborhoods. And so we want to make sure that we're pulling team members from those neighborhoods. So if in a diverse neighborhood, we have a very diverse team member base as well, and that has transferred up throughout the organization. So we have several team members that have worked out in operations that have come in to the home office, and vice versa. And so inclusion for me is really making sure that everybody feels like their voice matters, that they feel heard, that their opinion and their experience is something that we value. And I feel like we've done a good job of that. Again, we can continue to improve on that. But we want to make sure that we have the most talented people and that we have people that really, truly love and get the brand. We have, a lot of team members that have worked their way up, and this may be the only place they worked. For a while, that was all we had, and we have been bringing people in from the outside as well. So it's been a nice blend of homegrown talent and external talent to make sure that we have the right leaders who are pushing the brand forward.
For a mid-career woman looking to advance her career, perhaps eventually she wants to take on a CEO, CMO, brand leader role, what advice would you have for her to get further ready for this higher level of experience and leadership over the next 12 to 18 months?
So a couple of things. I would say first, make sure that your intentions are known. So having the conversation with your boss or other leaders in the company that you respect about what your ambitions are and what you want to accomplish, I think is one thing that any leader, whether you're a woman or not, should be doing. And then the other thing that I think is really important, and certainly was important in my career, was making sure that I had truth tellers. So people within the organization that would tell me really what my strengths were, would help reaffirm my strengths to me, but would also be like, yeah, Lisa, this is an area that you need to continue to work on. And here's some ideas on how you might do that. And I think those work better with internal people rather than an external mentor that may be at a different company, because they can see how you interact in the organization. And so those are two suggestions that I would have, is make sure you have your intentions known and then find truth tellers in your organization that will tell you what things you're really good at, but also what things you need to work on. And then you have to decide, okay, that is something that I want to work on. Or as you get higher up in the organization, you can find other people who have different skill sets that may help complement your areas where you're not as strong. And so that's important to know how to do as well.
Great advice. How about advice for brand and marketing leaders?
Okay.
to best support someone in your role? I have found in supporting CEOs as a CMO that sometimes there can be friction.
Sure.
Because there's a level of misunderstanding or there's a desire to see a return on investment a lot quicker. One thing I really admire about you is that you do have a background in marketing, which is truly unique. So what advice do you have for a marketing or branding team to best support someone in the CEO spot?
I think the best thing for marketers to understand is that the dollars that we are spending on marketing are dollars that we're not spending someplace else. And so getting an ROI is really important, but it's also really hard to measure the effectiveness of marketing. And I certainly understand that. I double majored in finance and marketing in school, so I understand that, and I worked in marketing for a couple of years, so I understand the challenges with that. But it is dollars that we could be spending on higher pay or other things that would benefit the company. And so really being crystal clear with the CEO on how you're going to measure ROI and make sure that the CEO is bought into the formula that is used to measure ROI will be really, really critical. There have been a couple of occasions where our marketing team has a new product that we introduce, and that sells really well, but overall sales may not be going up as much as we would like. So the product sells really well, so marketing feels like they did a good job, but overall sales may not go up as much as we had hoped. And so what is the right measure to really evaluate the effectiveness of marketing, I think is really, really critical to get good alignment between the CMO and the CEO.
What is one mistake or misstep that you have learned from professionally or personally that relates to the success that you see now in your role? Being able to talk about those fumbles and recoveries is so important. So I would love to hear about one of yours.
Certainly I've made lots of mistakes, but one area that I think is central to most of those mistakes that I've made is really wanting things to get better. And so maybe not acting quick enough. And that is in part due to my analytical nature. So I want to analyze the data, and maybe I want a little longer data, or I want a different set of data. And it's also due to, I think, our culture in terms of feeling like a family here. And if we have to make tough calls on people, that can always be something that I think we take a little bit longer time, and that I have taken probably a little bit longer time in retrospect than I should have. And so when I think about the mistakes and the fumbles that I've made, it's usually related around making a decision, not as quick as in hindsight I wish that I would have.
Her Business Playbook is presented in partnership with the Columbus Chamber of Commerce with production services from Brainstorm Media. Thank you for listening and watching. Learn more and subscribe by visiting us online at herbusinessplaybook.com.